I'm going to check my settings real quick and make sure that my sound is working. I'll be right back. If I can pause this. I'll be right back. If I can pause this.
We hear you, we hear you, we hear you. Hi, everybody. I didn't have my headphones on, so hopefully we are good now. And who do I see? Skull, hey. So, I drove down because I always lose service if I try to walk down to our harbor area. So, I am at the point. We call this the point, and there's a cute little bed and breakfast place right here. And what I was showing you before is like that's the where the river starts. It comes in from the lake, and you can see the chutes where it used to be for coal, I believe, when the ships would come in. And right here behind me is the Coast Guard Museum. So that's the museum. I've never been in there, but it's there. And I mean, the views down here are amazing. No service. This is Ohio, up on Lake Erie, Northeast Ohio. Carly, is everything good with my video? So look at the river. Yeah, it's beautiful on sunny summer days. There's let me see, let me point at it and find myself. I believe right down there, you can rent kayaks and go kayaking on the river if you go down this way. So that's a lift bridge, and there's only, I think, like a handful of them, if that, in the country. So the town did a big fundraiser for it years ago and got lights for it. And I don't know, I think every 30 minutes they lift it so boats can go underneath. And oh, it's going up right now. Let's watch it. Let's see, let me point at it. You can see it's going up. So that's someone's job, the lift bridge operator. Maybe I could do that as my retirement job. Sit in a little booth and press a button for the bridge to go up every once in a while. I'm in Northeast Ohio. This is on Lake Erie. You couldn't paddleboarding. I've never tried paddleboarding. Stowe, Ohio. I actually lived there at the end of my college career because I went to Kent State. So we are about, how long of a drive is that? It's about an hour, about an hour and a half northeast. I'm up in Ashtabula. It is sunny. I'm trying to scroll back to see comments. So the bridge is up. Let's see if you can see. You can see it. So the cars have to stop, and the boats can go under. Here comes a boat, if you can see it, going under. I think there's some kayakers out there too. So if you keep going down the river that way and you go around the bend, There's some docks down there and a campground where people camp for the summertime, a marina, and it continues and it goes behind our hospital. And that's the site where we had a huge train disaster. I'm going to go walk down there for one of my walks sometime, but I got to bring Carly with me because there's a trail behind the hospital that is not a very safe place to go by yourself. So I'm going to come up here. This is, I forget what they call these things, but this is like a coal, what they would put the coal in. This was a huge, huge port for that. That's how they transport it from onto the ships and off the ships. And right now I am standing on this platform area down here, and this is a good spot that people come to take like prom photos, things like that. Like, look at the background, how pretty. So I'm going to go walk down these steps. Someone's walking up them. Walking up them is not fun. And we call this, it's not our main street because this is called the harbor, right? So we're down in the harbor. So Bridge Street. This is our Bridge Street because, duh, the lift bridge. So I'm going to walk down there and show you like the cute little shops and stuff like that. And they just built a hotel down there too. There's a shady spot right here. Let me check the chat. What did you fall out of? I fell out of the thing. It floated off. Lost it. Had to swim out. Ended up some residential area. 1 mile barefoot back. Oh my God! I hope it was on. I hope you weren't walking on pavement. Your crazy aunt lives in Stowe. I also worked at the Brown Derby in Hudson. I don't know if that's there anymore. Lived in Stowe. Went to school in Kent. And I forget why we got our apartment in Stowe. One of my roommates found it, so we just went over there because it wasn't that far from Kent. Controlling the bridge, yeah. Got to follow that time schedule. All right, so while I'm walking down here, I was listening to somebody talk about the new documents that came out and the photos that came out in Brian Koberger's apartment and office, his school office. And in the photos, it showed the books he had in his, here, I'm closer to the museum. Cute. And his research papers. How am I getting up here? One of the research papers, and Carlos gets so frustrated with me because every time this stuff comes out, I'm like, listen to this, this doesn't make sense, or this doesn't point to Brian, or this doesn't make him look guilty. And he gets frustrated with that. We have a lot of these things here. Sorry, I'm going to bounce around from topic to topic. Memorials, Merchant Marine Veterans Memorials, stuff like that. Carlos gets frustrated because, I'll say, well, this information is just suspicious. He's starting to say, well, we're just, misinterpreting it. So I'm now going to, I'm still questioning everything, but I'm going to look at everything like, okay, how does this make Brian look guilty, right? And I feel like if I can keep that as the question, then Carlos and I will be able to better have a more aligned discussion, right? Like, is this one piece of information making Brian look guilty? Or, like, is it pointing towards him or is it pointing away from him? So, in his apartment, his studies, textbooks, and research papers were, the topics were like injustice with the criminal justice system. So, does that make him look guilty if he's researching issues or problems that are going on with the justice system? Like, what do you guys think about that? Does that make him look? And I know it's circumstantial. It's talking about his habits, his personality, his obsessions or interests or whatever. I say no. I say that more supports him being the person that was like looking into those types of things. He hates women. You remembered what all wrong? What about the book in regards to misogynistic work environment at the university? Yeah, I don't remember all the titles of the books, but if there was a book about misogynistic work environment at the university, I mean, wouldn't you, if you were against that, wouldn't you have that type of book? Would you have that type of book if you were a misogynistic person? Doesn't that just come naturally? You have to learn how to be that way. He was reading on women's rights. See? But all we hear on the news is like, he hates women and he's just trying to sound too smart. That's the other thing. Who was I watching? I think it was Brian Etten, and he had an attorney on. It was a female attorney, and they were going through Brian's grading of his students' work. And I'm a teacher, so I was kind of listening to it through that lens. And he was writing, I thought, very concise, concrete, what's the word I want? Like, not directions, but recommendations back to the student. Like, I read your report, and here's how you can make it better. And that's legit feedback. Just grading a paper and handing it back like, 94%, that doesn't give the student any feedback, specific feedback. So I feel like as a teacher, I strive to be able to give that kind of feedback. That kind of feedback takes a lot of time to do that. So a lot of teachers won't do it because it's time consuming. So for him to take, I think he should, a person who does that should be commended for taking the time to be able to do that. All right, I'm in a different area. So this all has been renovated in the past, probably 5 years. They've really made it cute down here. So there's a little dock right here. Little duck in the water over there. There's a pavilion. I didn't even know they had this outdoor seating area. That's cute. So yeah, the whole grading thing, the narrative is, oh, he's being picky, or he's just trying to show how smart he is. Well, he's the teacher. He's supposed to be telling the students, you know, this was good and you can do this to make it better. Or here's where the problem areas were, do this. So I'm going to show you. Up there is where I came from. I can't see because of the sun glare, so hopefully I'm showing you over there. Came down those steps. That's the uh, Airbnb over there. All right. So one of the research papers, this is what I wanted to talk about. One of the research papers mentioned a case, the Noura Jackson case. So I looked it up, and I just watched a quick Dateline episode, just give me everything, and I actually have some questions, but basically, so Brian Koberger mentioned that case as a case that shows prosecutorial misconduct, something to that effect. And when I put the Dateline episode on, they made it seem like there was going to be a bombshell of the prosecutor's office hiding information. That's kind of like how they advertised the show, and I was like, oh, good, this is going to be good. So here, look, I'm on street level now with the bridge. And then there's some boats down here. And you see, we call it the break wall behind me. Way out there. Way out there. So it kind of cuts down on the waves coming into the river. Once you get past the break wall, I went on a little boat one time when I was a teacher. I took a program to learn about outdoor learning. And the boat, as soon as it went about beyond the wall, I got seasick. I was like, turn it around. It was awful. Okay, so Noura Jackson was 18 years old. She was still in high school, and she lived with just her mom. And her mom was murdered one night in her bed. She was stabbed. And her dad was kind of estranged from her. He was well off. And this girl was kind of because it was just her and her mom, she kind of didn't have rules and curfews and things like that, all her other friends. So she was a partier, and she did not deny, yeah, I would go out drinking and smoke pot and, all those things. So I'm just going to show this little alley right here is the back side of a coffee shop called the Harbor Perk. It's very popular, and so you can get your coffee and come out here and sit if you want. And then this is a restaurant behind me. They have a lot of pulled pork stuff, but they have 3 levels in there in this outdoor patio. It's really nice at night. Dateline clearly made it seem like people were threatened by his intellect or got rejected from him one way or the other. Right. Yeah, and it's just, that's open for interpretation, right? You can say whatever you want about what he wrote or what he said, I guess. I mean, you have to defend your position, but I just gave you my perspective as a teacher, as an educator. Okay, so Nora's a partier, and she comes home at 5 in the morning because she doesn't have a curfew and she's out partying. And there was the floor had and to me it looked like someone cut a circle out of the glass, like it was like a perfect circle, and let themselves into the house. And she goes inside, she's freaked out, she sees the broken glass, and um, goes into her mom's room, sees her mom, uh, uh, realizes she's not responding, runs across the neighbor. It's a guy. He comes. She went in first, so he thought that was just. So ultimately, he's accused of calm and why could not. She could not. Footage with the cane. That's the dog barking you heard. Like a sea wall. What did she